Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Just Being Real with Esther Doomberry. Today, we are discussing the topic people God can never help. We'll take our studies from the book of Genesis. We'll be discussing the person of Jacob. Now, right from the womb, we saw that the hand of God was upon Jacob's life. He had prophecies that there were prophecies that had gone ahead of his birth, and it was just clear that okay, this is someone that God was committed to helping. But let's look at the way Jacob moved in his life, and let's see whether really Jacob submitted to the hand of God upon his life and enjoyed the blessings of God, or he didn't. As Jacob grew, one of the days that Esau came around and said, "Oh, I'm hungry," Jacob was cooking. He said, "Okay, if you give me your birthright, I will give you porridge to eat." And the Bible tells us that Esau was like, what do I want to do with this birthright? Just take it away. Give me something to eat. Even a person will chop. Now ain't good, they are alive. So Esau, in other words, sold his birthright to Jacob. Now, why did Jacob make that transaction if he was sure that if God said he's going to make me the head, he doesn't have a problem getting it done? Why do you think Jacob made the transaction? Jacob just felt like, I've got something in my hand. You know the saying that goes by, use what you have to get what you want, is not always scriptural. It's not always the God way. So Jacob said, okay, I'll use my porridge to get what I want, which is the birthright, and we saw it happen. Next thing we are seeing again is Jacob and his mom conniving to deceive their father to get the blessings from Isaac. Why again would you do that if you were clear that, okay, God said he's going to do this, I believe him to do it? And I'll quickly drop a word of caution to mothers here who, because God revealed something to us concerning our child, we think it is in our place to work it out. Word of caution, please stop. If God said he's going to do it, let him do it. It is not in our place to make it happen. So you see, Jacob then went and with his mother collected the blessing. And after collecting the blessing, the father, thinking he was blessing Esau, blessed him in corn and wine, in all the things of the field. And when Esau came and said, okay, Dad, come bless me now. Father was like, I'm sorry. I gave all the blessings to Esau, to your brother. I don't have any other one. And Esau was crying. Isn't there just one blessing that you can give me? And Jacob pronounced another blessing on Esau. But this is where it gets interesting. A couple of years after, we see in Genesis 28 that Isaac called Jacob and said, you know what, go get married. Go to Padan Aram, go get married. Don't marry any of the Canaanites. By the way, Esau, even after marrying someone who his father did not like, just seeing that his father gave Jacob that instruction, went ahead again to marry another woman. But that's just by the way. Now, Jacob was supposed to go over there and marry from the tribe of the lineage of Abraham so that they could continue to preserve a pure seed for God. When Jacob was set to leave, we see that Isaac begins to bless him. And this time around, there's a difference between this blessing and the previous blessings that Isaac had made. Isaac begins to bless him with the blessings of Abraham. That was the real blessing all along. So it was clear that Isaac knew that there is no way I am giving Esau the blessings of Abraham. The blessings of Abraham is set aside for Jacob. So Jacob didn't need to deceive his father, deceive his brother, manipulate everybody to get that blessing. It was his all along, if only he could wait for God to do it his way. So, what are you struggling to get? If God says he will do it, then he will. So when Jacob then began his journey and he met his wife, Rachel. So I don't know if this is love at first sight or if it's mere foolishness or whatever it is. But we see Jacob flipping out and telling Laban immediately, I worked for her for 7 years. Please, who does that? Who works for a wife for 7 years? This is Jacob saying, yes, God, I've seen the woman I want. I can get her on my own. You don't need to interfere. God is like, okay, you want me to leave you? That's fine. And we see that for the next 7 years, Jacob is slaving away in the house of his uncle. Aside the fact that that is abnormal, it was also a show of someone who was saying, I've got the power, I know my way, I can achieve what I want. After 7 years, Laban brought Leah out and Jacob felt deceived. Yes, Laban handed over Rachel, but he was indebted to Laban for another 7 years, and that was 14 years that he spent working because of women. And after leaving, we then see that he began to journey towards Esau. He took everything he had, divided it and said, okay, you know what, let's send this as gift to Esau because I don't want Esau to kill me. And despite the fact that God appeared to him and made promises to him, Jacob was just concerned about, you know what, God, just let me go and come back and be safe, then I would have time for you. And even when he met Esau, God, who had already touched Esau's heart, knew that there was no need for all the sharing of his flock and all. And Esau was happy to see him, talk to him very nicely, but Jacob just thought that he needed to do the things by himself. Let's double back a little to where he met the angel. Why and how can you wrestle with an angel from night till daybreak? The Bible talks that Jacob wrestled with the angel till the breaking of dawn. So it's obvious Jacob was a strong person. He had the energy for it. But God was always calling him to a place of submission where he was not going to depend on his strength anymore, but depend on God to help him out. And even after the angel knew that this guy is not going to let me go, he's not going to let me go if I do not do something. And he touched him by the thigh. And in touching his thigh, we see that Jacob, who was strong enough to fight an angel to daybreak, could no more lean on his leg on that side, and then he lost every sense of confidence in his own capacity. For Moses, his mother, who was his caretaker, must have told him a lot about Israel and how God was going to do miracles here and there and all the many things that God was going to do. And the day he saw the Egyptian beating the Israelites, he couldn't take it. He swung into action, ready to become the knight in shining armor for the Israelites who was oppressed. It caused trouble for him. He had to be exiled and go to the wilderness. And this coming from someone who was living in abundance and then suddenly had to live with nothing. What are your strengths? What are the things that you know God has said concerning your life? How are you trying to fulfill them? How are you trying to make them happen? What are the things you are doing? As long as you continue to run in your strength, God cannot help you. Simple. By the arm of flesh shall no man prevail. There is no way you can become successful. You can achieve the giftings and the callings of God upon your life if you do not follow his methods. As long as you continue to trust your strength, trust your energy, it will never yield God's results. So, do you want God to help you? Do you want God to come through for you? Quit struggling. Women, let me give another word of encouragement to women. See, many times we especially if you are multi-talented, you're just beautiful in different areas. You can achieve a lot, and then you're strong in your body. You usually think that you can run your home without input from God. You can run your home without help from your husband. Think again. The burdens that God has placed upon your way, the burdens that God has shared for you to carry, cannot be carried by your own strength. Quit struggling. Depend on God for help. Ask God for wisdom. Students, you think you're so smart, you can go through school without God and succeed. No. Because the time when favor will need to speak for you as against wits, what then would you do? Don't wait until God touches your tie and breaks you before you listen to God and allow Him do the things He wants to do in your life. You know, by the time Jacob saw Pharaoh, you know, one of the first statements Pharaoh said, Pharaoh asked him, "How old are you?" Jacob's life was full of struggles, and he said it. He said, "I'm not as old as my father's. Life has just not been good to me." Because Jacob struggled for everything by his power, thought he could achieve everything by his strength. And where did he end up? Ended up looking haggard, stressed out, worn out, and frustrated. Don't wait for God to break you before you give in to God. Only people God can help are people who recognize that I have no power of my own. I confess that I have no power, but I trust that you have all the power. And there's nothing I can do without your strength, and I know that God will see me through. Thank you very much for joining me once again today. I hope you've been blessed, and I hope you're ready to give it all up and let God take over till I come your way next time. Remember, you are destined for the top. Keep winning. God bless you.